One of the most famous cathedrals in Britain is easy to identify by its dome. St. Paul's is an iconic part of the London skyline, but it's what's happening inside that brings us there this Wednesday. A display that's taken years to install, an immersive light and sound show that's simply titled Luminous. And it is. This is a fundraising event for St. Paul's. It aims to draw people in and draw support to preserve the landmark for future generations. The displays are custom made for this cathedral. A creator says they aim to marry art and architecture. They also bring in history, from the original structures that stood here to the rebuilding process after the Great Fire of London, through the German raids during the Battle of Britain, and on to present day. And it projects 21st century technology on walls that were raised hundreds of years before it existed. There's another spectacular sight we're spotlighting today on The World from A to Z. Welcome to the show. I'm Carl Azuz. To report that the stars are aligning this week would be overstating it. But certain conditions have come together to make the other planets in our solar system all visible at once, and it's not expected to happen so vividly again until 2040. A so-called planetary parade is taking place. Assuming the weather's clear, scientists say if you look out right after sunset tonight, tomorrow, or Friday night, you should be able to see Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter without any equipment but your eyes. Saturn will be lower and fainter near the horizon, and you'll need binoculars or a telescope to see Neptune and the other large planet. Sadly, none of the sources we had mentioned Pluto, but that's a discussion for another day. All of the planets in our solar system rotate in the same plane, what's called the ecliptic plane. Think of a record on a turntable with the sun at the center. The planets wouldn't be higher or lower than the plane of the record, just in different spots on it. When they're on the same side of the sun from Earth's perspective and you can see them at once, you have an alignment, a hangout, a parade like we have this week. What skywatchers should look for are spheres at night that shine brighter than the stars, and there are apps that can help you pinpoint the planets.
Word of knowledge. A thickening of the heart muscle is known as what condition? Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, atrial fibrillation, atherosclerosis, mitral stenosis. When the heart muscle thickens, possibly reducing the flow of blood through the organ, is known as hypertrophic cardiomyopathy.
Most of the time, heart disease develops in people older than 50. That's not always the case with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Cleveland Clinic says it's been known to affect people younger than 35, including some professional athletes. And while it can be passed down through families, it's not common. It affects roughly 0.2% of Americans. Still, there are some risk factors to pay attention to.
Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is often a genetic condition affecting about 1 in 500 people in the U.S. It causes a heart muscle to thicken, making it harder to pump blood.
The thick heart muscle itself create rhythm issues. So these patients' heart can go out of rhythm into some deadly heart rhythms sometimes. And can cause sudden cardiac death.
Dr. Saeed Al-Sadawi with Mayo Clinic says only a fraction of people with this condition are actually diagnosed. He says symptoms can include shortness of breath, chest pain, lightheadedness, dizziness, or passing out, especially during exercise or other exertion. But in many cases, he says there are no signs until a sudden cardiac arrest. If you have a first-degree relative, like a parent with this condition, Al-Sadawi says that raises the risk you'll also have it, so he says genetic testing is important.
Now the challenge becomes we have people who have no family members who have the condition, and they have no symptoms. So how do we know somebody has hypertrophic cardiomyopathy? This is a big area now of investigation.
While that research continues, Al-Sadawi says patients should advocate for themselves, and if symptoms are present, seek medical help. I'm Mandy Gaither.
On this date in world history. On February 26, 1909, London movie fans were treated to the first ever public viewing of a film in color. 21 short Kinemacolor films were shown. While that method of filming didn't last, it was the first step in bringing black and white films to life. On this date in 1991, British scientist Tim Berners-Lee presented to his colleagues a new invention called the World Wide Web. It's what he named the world's first internet browser. It was put online later that year and renamed Nexus. The World Trade Center collapse stunned the world on September 11, 2001, but it was also attacked on this date in 1993. That's when a truck bomb exploded in a parking garage below the Trade Center's North Tower. 6 people were killed and more than 1,000 were wounded in what was at the time the deadliest act of terrorism on U.S. soil.
Where in the world? This is an East African republic that gained its independence from Britain in 1963. Its official languages are English and Kiswahili. It's located between Ethiopia and Tanzania, and its capital is Nairobi. This is Kenya, a nation of more than 58 million people.
As Kenya rises to become one of Africa's tech leaders, teaching young children computer skills has become increasingly important. Here, in the sprawling slums of Kibera, kids learn coding and robotics.
Now the world is moving faster and everything is connected to technology. So it is important for me to do this so that I can be competent for my future.
When kids join the program, they learn the basics of how a computer works before advancing to skills such as web development, mobile app design, gaming, and physical computing. Some students have progressed far enough to build their own websites and apps. Code with Kids began in 2015 with 10 children, and so far reached over 2,000 children through after-school programs and coding boot camps. It all started with 29-year-old Renice Owino. She's made the program affordable for families by getting funding from charities. The students, who come from low-income families, get to use state-of-the-art equipment, including laptops and robotic kits.
Sometimes you have to literally tell the kids that the time is up and they have to go home. If the kids are bored with the program, they will just walk out and go. But just seeing them extend their time and just continue learning, it shows that they really enjoy what they're learning.
Owino says the next step is to find internships for her students so they can keep progressing and build connections with people working in the tech field.
Enter to win a free educator-only tour with EF in a destination like Paris, Rome, or Panama. Learn the way to lead the way, connect with like-minded teachers, and bring your students' dreams to life through travel.
Totally makes sense that a school named Bristol, Tennessee Middle School would be located right in Bristol, Tennessee. The Vikings are with us from Mr. Parker's class in the Volunteer State. Meantime, from the Magnolia State of Mississippi, we've got Mrs. Crowell's or Crowell's class online at Eupora High School. Thanks for watching from Eupora. And Wenatchee is a city in the Evergreen State. That's where Mr. Jagla's class is online at Wenatchee High School. Great to have y'all with us from Washington.
A family is breathing a sigh of relief after their cat, missing for several weeks, was found in an unlikely place, inside a couch shipped cross-country. You gotta be kidding me! It started when the Hansons were moving from Washington to Colorado. On the day the movers arrived, the family's cat, Sunny Lou, vanished. Exhausting all search options, the Hansons were forced to leave Washington without Sunny Lou. Or so they thought. 3 weeks later, when the furniture arrived, they heard a surprise yoo-hoo from Sunny Lou.
I heard a meow.
The calling cat was discovered inside the family's couch, shipped cross-country with the feline stowaway shrink-wrapped inside. Thousands of miles with no food or water, Sunny Lou was weak, but alive, and is now back in its loving family's arms following one truly odd odyssey.
The one time it'd be okay for a cat to scratch up the furniture. Now, I don't mean to couch that. Many a Papa San has had to get up from lounging on a recliner to chase down a cat that caused a ton of damage in different sectionals. But maybe that animal's feline, it should get a little cushion considering the rocking and rolling it did on the move. And so far, so good. I'm Carl Azuz. Whether you're at worldatozorg or at youtube.com/@theworldatz, you mean the world to me.